the contact with Swedes of Somali origin, and I have come across a word which is a bit enigmatic, which I wondered. Once I spent some time with some Somalis here in Sweden, and they all had their specific personal explanation of the word, and the word is Buufis, and I wonder it has something to do with exile. And you shook your head. Okay, they didn't. But I wonder, is this word Buufis? Could you please give your explanation to it, and does it have any relevance in your books?
Buufis is a notion of lie telling. You tell yourself a lie, and you imagine an inexistent world to which you are going. But in truth, you're not going anywhere. You're stuck in a refugee camp. This word exists in the refugee camps in Nairobi.
But not in exile.
Well,
In exile.
refugees are in exile. In Sweden, when you use the word spoofs in Sweden, it is a Somali person telling himself and everyone else a lie, and who spreads the word, makes himself into something much more important than he really is. It's the same notion. There is a Senegalese filmmaker called Sembène Ousmane. Has anybody seen any films by Sembène?
He's a writer as well.
He's a writer as well. He's done very many good films. And one of them is called La Mandat, in French, La Mandat. And it is about a young man, Senegalese, in the 50s, late 50s, who cleans the streets in Paris. But he takes a picture of himself near one of the cars parked in the street where he is washing. And he sends the picture home to Dakar. And he says to everyone, I am doing so well, can't you see? Now, spoofis therefore creates problems. Most of the people who are on the boats, you know, the rickety boats that are coming, they are a spoofis, part of that spoofis. They told each other stories that if they come to Europe, they will be the kings of the world. If you walk in the streets, instead of, you know, seeds falling off the tree, Swedish kronas drop from the street. And this is what happens. But it's also very important that spoofis existed in this country. Between 1820 and 1865, when the Swedes were hungry, didn't have enough food to eat, and they were running away from here in rickety boats very similar to the one that the Somalis are now, and other people are coming in. But the big difference between the Swedes who left this country hungry, in need of food, in need of support, in need of everything, because they went to America, they went to Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, and so on and so forth.
Minnesota.
And although they were not, yes, Minnesota, many of them, I used to teach at Minnesota, so I knew many of them. And what happened was when they arrived, they were given huge farms. An acre cost them 25 cents. They were welcomed. And they were actually given the land that belonged to the North American Indians. The North American Indians were killed so that the Swedes and the Norwegians and the Finns and the Danes would receive land on which they could grow. And these Swedes farmed, walked on the corpses and the graves of the North American Indians. These are some of the things I always insist, that small, young Swedes should also be taught their own history. And that is the true history of migration. And people take turns. When you were migrating, we were not migrating. When we are now migrating, you are not migrating. And that's why it's Buufis. Buufis becomes quite an important notion.